Look, I never thought I'd be saying this early on in the season, but I think Tottenham are back. And I don't mean back as in just a few years ago. I'm talking about back as in back challenging for trophies and titles. I'm that confident with what I've just seen. Now, look, it's Tottenham we're talking about, so predicting their long-term achievements and success is always a gamble because with them, they don't necessarily have the best track record in recent times. But look, this squad to me just looks rejuvenated. And I think it's all down to one man, Thomas Frank. I mean, the setup today was just immaculate. They were so organised, so compact defensively. Going forward, it was fluid as well. And look, we'll talk about Man City a little bit later. But on Tottenham, my days, the two signings that they made as well, Kudus and Palhinha, such good signings, man. Such good signings. And they have shown what they're going to bring to the team in just these first two games. Kudus obviously assisting last game, getting involved constantly today as well, and Palhinha popping up with the second goal to pretty much kill the game off almost for Tottenham to win. And it's their first away win since February. If you don't believe me when I say this is a new Tottenham side, that should tell you enough. Their first away win against since February, and it's their first away game of the season, and it's against Man City, who after their performance against Wolves, a lot of people had them to win the title again. You know, the performance was incredible from players like Cherki, Reinders, Haaland, Bob. All these guys were nullified today by Tottenham. Reinders didn't have the same effect going forward. Cherki, he had some moments where he played in a good ball, he was in the right positions, but didn't have the same effect as against Wolves. Haaland, I mean, any chance he got, it seemed like the only chance he ever did get were ones that were lofted into the box from across, and he just tried to get something on it. It never really went his way, and I think that's down to the two defenders, Van de Ven and Romero, who were so solid today. I mean, they're such different defenders, but they're both class for different reasons. I mean, Van de Ven, going forward, he's just so electric. He had a few of those runs today as well, where he just grabs the ball and he's so big and fast that you cannot get the ball off him, as hard as you may try. Romero, though, every ball that's coming to the box, heads it away, clears the danger. So good. And it's so good that they've got him on a new contract now at Tottenham because he's a key player. But yeah, man, I mean, on the goals, look, Brennan Johnson, that guy is becoming such a consistent goal scorer for them. And look, it's always useful to have a winger or just another forward player that's not a striker popping up for goals because, it just adds that extra layer of comfortability that you can just kind of rely on. This guy, if the striker's maybe not finding the service or not having the best game or run of form, there's always that Brennan Johnson in your team who will just be at the right place at the right time. And that's exactly what it was again for this goal. He just finds himself there in the box as the last man and does what he has to do. It's a pretty simple finish from there, but it's the run that is so key. And yeah, that from then on, Tottenham for the rest of that half were in control. Anything City tried to do, they shut them down immediately and then went on the attack for themselves. For the second goal, I mean, before the second goal, what on earth was going on? City were all over the place in that first half defensively. I mean, Trafford, I'll get onto Trafford later, but just knees Kudus. I mean, I'm not sure how that wasn't a red. Then it goes to Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro drives in, gets brought down, seems like it might be a penalty. It's just shambolic from Man City. And then it gets worse because minutes later, Trafford plays a really delayed and short ball to Diaz, I think it was, or Stones or something, one of the defenders. And they just can't get onto it quick enough. And the press from, who was pressing? Was it, I forget who was pressing, but it might have been Kudus or Richarlison or someone like that, pressed them and managed to get the ball back in Man City's half. And from there, it seems like they're trying to get the goal, but then, Trafford comes out and then the ball finds Palhinha and he's in open space and it's an open goal. Trafford's on the floor. Nothing anyone can do and it goes in. And it's 2-0, half time, game done. And from then on, the second half really wasn't much different. I mean, City had more of the ball. They were trying to create more, but they really didn't get anything done. I mean, there were some balls over the top that almost caught the right person. Rodri had a chance. But I don't know, man. It seemed like Man City today just could not penetrate Tottenham, and Pep ball just was not working out. They weren't playing wide enough. They brought Doku on to try and stretch the play more, and that didn't work either. And yeah, I honestly think someone like Savinho could have definitely helped a bit more today. I mean, adding just that extra final ball and just a little bit more flair and dribble into your attack, I think could have helped them. But it looks like he's off to Tottenham actually, so that would be a big loss. But Man City, I mean, they might not need it, because one of the big positives today for me was Oscar Bob, who, look, obviously he's a young player, but he's been around for a while. But when young players kind of break into the first team and get a consistent run of form, it's easy to kind of overrate their performances in a sense, because you're more focused on what they're doing, and when they do something right, you'll get gassed. When if like one of the more established players doing it, it's just kind of expected. But no, man, I think with Oscar Bob, the hype is real. This guy is so good going forward and even tracking back as well. I mean, he's a physical player. He's a fast player. He's technically brilliant. He can look for balls in the box. He can even get a goal himself. And today, I mean, obviously he just wasn't falling for Man City, but I thought he was by far, by quite a distance, Man City's most dangerous player. When they had players like Shirky on the pitch, Haaland, even Doku when he came on, I honestly think Oscar Bob was their best player going forward. And he was very good against Wolves as well. So he's definitely going to be one to watch for this season. And I'm sure he'll be part of Pep's plans for the season. And yeah, but honestly, apart from that, I can't see many positives to City here. And look, it's really a tough result to take for them, because this would have been a big win for them. This would have really cemented, I think, early on their intent to win. And now this is a big blow, because although it's a good Tottenham side who are fired up, have gone, I've had some good performances under Thomas Frank already against PSG, even though they lost in penalties, and against Burnley, it's still not the best side. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, in terms of players for player, Man City should have, easily, and I know that's not really how it works, but player for player, Man City have more quality, is what I'm trying to say. And I think today was just more about tactics. I think Thomas Frank just outclassed Pep in most metrics today. And I mean, that's fine. I mean, Pep will probably adapt. Of course, he'll adapt, and we'll see how the rest of the season pans out. But it's a worrying sign when a team like Tottenham, with a midfield of Pape Matar Sarr and Bentancur and Kudus, these are good players, very good players, and they played incredible today. Pape Matar Sarr, I want to give him a shout out, because he was all over the gaff. He was constantly busy, forwards, backwards, box to box, just absolutely brilliant to see. Great stamina all round, and he was just getting involved, like I said, everywhere on the pitch, winning balls back, playing balls through to the attackers, carrying the ball. He was great. But that's the thing. Man City played into their strengths. Man City were not incisive enough. They were not breaking down the compactness of the defence. They weren't stretching Tottenham out wide enough to create that space in the middle. And they just allowed players like Pape Matar Sarr to get close to the ball all the time. And when you're allowing the midfielders to get close to the ball, you're just adding an extra player you have to get past. So it was a weird setup today from Man City, and I just don't think it played their way. And I think that's full credit to Tottenham, though, because I think they might have underestimated Tottenham in a sense. And I think a lot of us are underestimating Tottenham right now. And as a Chelsea fan, I don't want to see Tottenham do well. So, of course, I would rather they lost matches. But against a team like City, to see them play like this is good for them, man, because they've had some tough times recently. And like I said, I think they might be back. With this new manager, I was never the biggest Ange fan. Thomas Frank just genuinely seems like he's got something different about him. I honestly think this is the first time I look at a Tottenham manager and think you guys might have one with this. You guys might have one here. Because even with Poch never really struck confidence in me as a winning manager. Or he had that kind of tactical brain to take Tottenham a step further and win titles. I mean, if Thomas Frank doesn't have the Harry Kanes, he doesn't have the Heung-min Sons, he doesn't even have the Christian Eriksens and the Vertongans and Alderweireld, Lloris, this is a worse Tottenham side than we've seen in the past few years. But they're playing so well. So I think the difference between a Tottenham who challenges for the title right now and a Tottenham who only can maybe challenge for Europa League, Champions League maybe, is a few more signings. Genuinely, I think right now they've got the manager, they've got a solid core as well, but they need to make a few more deals this summer. And look, a Gibbs White would have been huge for them, especially that Maddison's injured now as well. That's another thing. They played so well without their key player, their number 10, James Maddison. But Gibbs White would have been huge. Also, Savinho, if they can get him, that would be huge. Eze would have been humongous as well. That's the thing. You need to back your manager, Tottenham. I don't know how they didn't get Eze wrapped up quicker. He wanted to go to Tottenham. There was no interest elsewhere. They just kind of waited for Arsenal to come and hijack the deal, which is frustrating if I was a Tottenham fan. But yeah, they need to get a few more deals done. But overall, it's a good side, man, with a great manager. So I think they'll do well this season. I predicted them to come 6th, I think it was. So an improvement. But I honestly think if they keep this up and get a few more deals in, Champions League is not far off at all for them. But yeah, a bit more on City, man. Obviously Trafford, big money move. Coming back to his boyhood club, so to say. I mean, he graduated from the Man City Academy. And look, he's not Prem proven, let's be honest. When he was in his one season in the Prem with Burnley, he was kind of in and out of the squad. He wasn't necessarily the number one. And yes, he's had a blind in the Championship, but to me, he still doesn't quite look convincing to me as a Premier League number one. I mean, for the Brennan Johnson goal, there's not much you can do there as a keeper. But he does get a touch on it, and you do have to think to yourself, could he have maybe kept that one out? It's a tough one, but the one I'm really worried about was the second one. I mean, first off, the ball is so slow, no real power on it. At that point, just boot the ball away, man. You don't have to force the playing out from the back, Pep Guardiola ball, if it's not on, if it's not there. And it wasn't there. And he forced it and they suffered. But then, when Tottenham win the ball in the City box, Trafford just kind of comes out to try and like claim it, but he just sort of like falls in front of the attacker and gets minimal contact on the ball. And from then on, your keeper is on the ground at the penalty spot. Everything behind him is open territory. It's no man's land. It's fair game. And Tottenham like pounced on that. They took advantage and they scored the second goal. And even before that, like I mentioned, coming out and he just didn't seem convincing with his distribution. When he just came out and just completely missed the ball and kneed Kudus in the stomach, that could have been a red, guys. If he had his studs maybe a little bit more up, that would have definitely been a red. And I'm questioning right now if it should have been a red because it's reckless. His distribution throughout the game was poor. Long balls were not reaching anyone. And every time he came out to collect a ball, it didn't seem like he had confidence in himself to do it efficiently and effectively. And that's a worry for Man City. They might now go get Donnarumma. I'm genuinely thinking to myself, they might just go and get Donnarumma for cheap. Because I don't know if I'd risk going through a crucial season for Man City, a bounce back year is what it's supposed to be, with James Trafford and Ederson as your rotation. Ederson, a keeper who's been frozen now and probably isn't in the best spot mentally and probably wants to leave. Trafford, like I said, a pretty unproven keeper in the Prem who has shown that he's got an error in him. I think there you kind of have to go for the guy who's proven at the top level, won Champions Leagues, won Euros, won penalty shootouts, made big saves in big matches, had big performances, kept his team in trophies and matches. It's Donnarumma. I think for 40, 30 million, you have to go for him at this point if you're Man City. And yes, it will look bad on them because they've just made a big investment on Trafford. And then signing another goalkeeper to start is weird. And then you've got the whole problem about what happens to Ederson and Trafford. Trafford doesn't want to be a number 2 at this point. It's a conundrum, but I think you kind of just have to take the hit to the reputation. That's going to be it, man. It's a frustrating day for Man City fans. It's a great day for Tottenham fans. They do tend to beat City a lot, to be fair to them. But we'll see how this season pans out, man. It's been an interesting first 2 games from all clubs in the Prem. And I'm looking forward to bringing you lot more content on every single match that I watch and that I find interesting. So make sure you subscribe for that. Make sure to like the video and I'll see you in a bit.